Created by ContentBinger.com. Criminal Law Glossary. Letters T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
T. Taggers are those who deface property, see graffiti. Telephonic warrant is a search warrant obtained by police over the phone from a judge. The call is tape recorded and followed by written documents. Temporary restraining order, TRO, is an order issued by a court to prevent a change in the status quo. In interpersonal settings, a TRO is sometimes issued by a court to prevent one person from hitting another person or from snatching a child in a custody dispute. A TRO is temporary and may be issued without calling together both parties to the dispute. Often, a court will later hold a hearing to see whether the TRO should be made into a permanent injunction. Termination of parental rights is the taking away, by the state, of the rights that parents possess in relation to their children. Parental rights are terminated when a child is put up for adoption. Parental rights may also be suspended or terminated if a court finds a parent unfit and/or decides to place a child in foster care. Testimony is evidence that a competent witness under oath or affirmation gives at trial or in an affidavit or deposition. Transcript is the written record of a court proceeding. Transferred intent is intent that has been transferred from the originally intended criminal act to the criminal act actually committed. Trial in criminal law is the adversary method of whereby opposing attorneys prove in court, according to the rules of evidence, that the defendant is guilty or not guilty of the criminal charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Trial courts are courts that listen to testimony, consider evidence, and decide the facts in a disputed situation. Trial setting conference is the meeting between the judge, district attorney, and defense attorney setting a case for trial. Trial setting is the time and date established by a court for a trial or hearing. Truant is a student who has stayed away from school without permission for a certain period of time. U. Unfit parent is a parent who has been shown to be unable to care for his or her children, usually because of criminal convictions, or is otherwise of questionable moral character. Unlawful detainer is the unjustifiable retention of the possession of real property by one whose original entry was lawful, as when a tenant holds over after lease termination despite the landlord's demand for possession. V. Vandalism is maliciously defacing, damaging, or destroying someone's property. Verdict is the decision by a jury, at the conclusion of a trial, that the defendant is guilty or not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Vicarious liability is sometimes called imputed liability, attachment of responsibility to a person for harm or damages caused by another person in either a negligence lawsuit or criminal prosecution. Victim is someone who has suffered as the result of another person's actions. Victim compensation is state payments to the eligible victims of crime for out-of-pocket expenses such as unreimbursed medical bills and income lost as a result of injuries that occurred. The crime must have resulted in injury or threat of injury to the victim. Voir dire is a French term meaning to speak the truth. Voir dire is a preliminary examination of a prospective juror by a judge or lawyer to decide whether the prospect is qualified and suitable to serve on a jury. W. Waiver a defendant's or a convicted offender's decision to relinquish a legal right. Defendants often waive their right to a jury trial, to take their chances in a bench trial before a judge sitting alone. Ward is a person incapable of managing his or her own affairs and for whom the court steps in to make decisions. Warrant is an order from the court that directs the police to arrest the person identified in the warrant or authorizes them to search the place and area described with particularity in the warrant. White-collar crimes are those involving commercial fraud, cheating consumers, swindlers, insiders trading on the stock market, embezzlement, and other forms of dishonest business schemes. Witness is a person who has knowledge of facts having to do with a case being tried and who gives testimony. Work program is a program where the court orders an adult or minor to work on public grounds and facilities on weekends and after school as part of a criminal sentence. Work release is the type of sentence in which a defendant is allowed to work in the community but is required to return to custody at night or on weekends as part of a criminal offense. Writ is a court's written order, in the name of a state or other competent legal authority, commanding the addressee to do or refrain from doing some specific act. X, Y, Z have no words in this series.
Thanks for watching. For more content, check out contentbinger.com.